most brutal crime in history is not an easy title to bestow, given the countless atrocities that have scarred humanity over millennia. One stands out for its sheer scale, inhumanity, and the lasting impact it has had on the world: the Holocaust. This genocide, orchestrated by Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime during World War II, led to the systematic extermination of 6 million Jews, along with millions of others, including Romani people, disabled individuals, political dissidents, and others deemed undesirable. This script will delve into the horrific details of the Holocaust, the ideology that fueled it, and its enduring legacy. The Holocaust's roots can be traced back to the anti-Semitic ideologies that permeated European society for centuries. However, it was in Nazi Germany that these prejudices evolved into an organized, state-sponsored campaign of mass murder. Adolf Hitler, who rose to power in 1933, was obsessed with the idea of racial purity. He believed in the superiority of the Aryan race and saw Jews as a primary threat to this racial ideal. This belief system, known as Nazism, combined traditional anti-Semitism with pseudoscientific theories about race to justify the persecution and eventual annihilation of the Jewish people. Upon Hitler's ascent to power, the Nazi regime quickly implemented policies aimed at marginalizing and dehumanizing Jews. The Nuremberg laws of 1935 stripped Jews of their citizenship and prohibited marriages between Jews and non-Jews. Jews were increasingly excluded from public life, their businesses boycotted, and their rights systematically eroded. However, these measures were only the beginning. The turning point came in 1941, when Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union. It was during this campaign that the Nazis began to implement what they called the final solution to the Jewish question. The final solution was a plan to exterminate all Jews within Nazi-controlled territories. This marked the transition from persecution to genocide. The methods employed to carry out the Holocaust were as brutal as they were methodical. The Nazis established ghettos, where Jews were forced to live in overcrowded, unsanitary conditions, often with little food or medical care. The extermination camps, also known as death camps, were built with one purpose: mass murder. The most infamous of these camps was Auschwitz-Birkenau, located in occupied Poland. Upon arrival at Auschwitz, Jews and other victims were subjected to a selection process. Those deemed unfit for labor, primarily women, children, the elderly, and the sick, were immediately sent to gas chambers, where they were killed with Zyklon B, a cyanide-based pesticide. The bodies were then burned in crematoria. The conditions in the camps were beyond horrific. Those not immediately killed were subjected to forced labor, starvation, disease, and inhumane medical experiments. The SS guards who ran the camps carried out their duties with a level of cruelty that defies comprehension. Prisoners were beaten, tortured, and subjected to degrading treatment on a daily basis. Many died from exhaustion, malnutrition, or disease. The scale of the Holocaust is almost impossible to grasp. By the end of World War II, 6 million Jews, two-thirds of Europe's Jewish population, had been murdered. In addition to the Jewish victims, millions of others were also killed, including Romani people, disabled individuals, Polish and Soviet civilians, political prisoners, and members of other marginalized groups. One of the most tragic aspects of the Holocaust is that the world knew about the atrocities being committed, yet did little to stop them. Reports of mass killings and the existence of concentration camps began to surface as early as 1942, but the Allied powers were slow to act. It wasn't until the liberation of the camps in 1945, as Allied forces advanced into Nazi-occupied Europe, that the full extent of the Holocaust was revealed to the world. The liberation of the camps brought with it images of unimaginable horror. Soldiers who entered the camps were confronted with piles of emaciated corpses, gas chambers, and crematoria. The survivors, skeletal and traumatized, bore witness to the atrocities they had endured. The world was shocked, and the term genocide was coined to describe the deliberate and systematic destruction of an entire people. In the aftermath of the Holocaust, the world grappled with the question of how such an atrocity could have occurred. The Nuremberg Trials, held between 1945 and 1946, sought to bring Nazi war criminals to justice. 24 high-ranking Nazi officials were tried for crimes against humanity, war crimes, and other offenses. 12 were sentenced to death, and others received lengthy prison sentences. The Nuremberg Trials set a precedent for international justice and established the principle that individuals could be held accountable for crimes against humanity, even if they were acting on behalf of a government. Trials also brought to light the full extent of the Holocaust, as survivors testified about their experiences, and mountains of evidence were presented. Despite the trials and the world's condemnation of the Holocaust, the scars left by this atrocity run deep. For the Jewish people, the Holocaust is a defining moment in their history, a tragedy that has shaped their identity and their understanding of the world. The trauma experienced by survivors has been passed down through generations, and the memory of the Holocaust remains a central part of Jewish consciousness. The Holocaust also had a profound impact on the world as a whole. It exposed the dangers of unchecked hatred, racism, and authoritarianism. It led to the establishment of the United Nations and the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which sought to prevent such atrocities from ever happening again. However, the lessons of the Holocaust have not always been heeded. In the decades since World War II, the world has witnessed other genocides, including those in Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur. These events have raised troubling questions about the international community's ability to prevent mass atrocities and protect vulnerable populations. The Holocaust also raises difficult questions about human nature. How could ordinary people participate in such a brutal crime? The concept of the banality of evil, popularized by philosopher Hannah Arendt, suggests that the perpetrators of the Holocaust were not all sadistic monsters, but rather ordinary individuals who became desensitized to violence and dehumanization. This realization forces us to confront the potential for cruelty and complicity within ourselves. The Holocaust is a stark reminder of the capacity for human evil, but it is also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the unimaginable suffering they endured, many survivors of the Holocaust rebuilt their lives and made significant contributions to society. Their stories of survival, resistance, and resilience continue to inspire and educate future generations. In conclusion, the Holocaust stands as the most brutal crime in history, not only because of the sheer number of lives it claimed, but because of the systematic, industrialized manner in which it was carried out. It is a crime that defies comprehension, a dark chapter in human history that must never be forgotten. The Holocaust serves as a warning of the dangers of hatred, intolerance, and indifference, and as a call to action to ensure that such an atrocity never happens again. Over 7,000 Jewish children were hidden by non-Jewish families in France, saving them from deportation. Many were later reunited with their families. The Vatican, led by Pope Pius XII, secretly helped thousands of Jews escape Nazi-occupied Europe. The Pope also issued a statement condemning the persecution of Jews. The Nazis kept detailed reports of the Auschwitz concentration camps operations, including the number of prisoners killed daily. Notes were discovered after the war and are now used as evidence in trials. The Nazis also targeted Romani people, killing an estimated 220,500 Romani individuals. This often overlooked aspect of the Holocaust is known as the Porajmos. Mobile killing units known as the Einsatzgruppen were responsible for the mass murder of over 1.3 million Jews in the Soviet Union. The Nazis' plan to exterminate all Jews in Europe was codenamed the Final Solution. It was implemented in 1942 and resulted in the deaths of 6 million Jews. The Nazis created a fake concentration camp, Theresienstadt, to deceive the Red Cross and the world about the true nature of the Holocaust. Between 1938 to 1939, over 10,000 Jewish children were rescued from Nazi-occupied Europe and brought to safety in the UK. In 1939, the Nazis planned to deport all Jews from Poland to the Nisko region, where they would be forced to live in ghettos. The plan was abandoned due to logistical issues. The Nazis and their collaborators killed an estimated 1.5 million Jews by shooting them in mass graves, often in public executions. This brutal method was used in many parts of Eastern Europe. Steven Spielberg's 1993 film Schindler's List won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and helped raise awareness about the Holocaust. As we remember the victims of the Holocaust, we must also commit ourselves to combating anti-Semitism, racism, and all forms of bigotry. We must work to create a world where such hatred has no place, where the dignity and rights of all people are respected and protected. The memory of the Holocaust demands nothing less. If you enjoyed this epic journey, please subscribe to our channel for more thrilling historical tales. Don't miss out on new videos. Hit the notification bell to stay updated.